Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
You've been through so much, like for instance, the 2016 Grey Cup. How hurt were you? Because I'm sitting there watching the game, getting ready to watch it all on TSN, like, Henry's got a knee injury, right? And we're like, oh, my God. How bad was it that day?
Oh, it was bad, honestly. It was bad. Even leading up that week, I was constantly getting treatment on my knee, and I just knew something wasn't right. But it was unfortunate that in the game, on the best surface possible, playing on grass, which players always welcome, that's when everything just kind of went awry during the pregame warmups, and I felt a pop in my knee. And we all know, for those who've experienced just a slight cartilage tear, when it happens, you know right away. And I'm thankful for the doctors and the staff with the Ottawa Red Blacks at the time, and the Ottawa nurses from the city of Ottawa, who came together and were able to come up with some concoction and inject it into my knee and give me some painkillers. But regardless of Alex Singleton and Micah Johnson and those guys hitting me left and right during that game, I couldn't feel it. So I could, I would look them in the eye when they would say, "Hey, boom!" I know that had to hurt. I'd say, "Guys, I can't even feel it right now." But it felt good. It kind of put the icing on the cake for me to be able to go there and do what I needed to do, just to finish my career off in the right way. But trust me, my knee was all jacked up, and that's the reason why, for me, if we had to play another period in overtime, it would have been tough for me to survive that, because by the end of that game, my knee was completely locked out due to the amount of swelling that was in my left knee.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
It's like Reid, the famed illusionist. He would hypnotize the whole crowd. My dad always told this joke. He goes, "Oh, yeah, Reid was performing at the Center of the Arts. He had the whole room hypnotized. And he said, the next thing I say, you will all do." And he got tripped up, tangled on his mic cord and tripped and went, crap. Took him 2 weeks to get the smell out.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Dad jokes, some were good, some were awful. That fell in the latter category. Welcome to a brand new week, everybody. It is the RP Show. We're coming to you live on the Game Plus television network all across Canada and 32 U.S. states, including New Jersey. And that's actually where we open the show, because there's no Moose today. He's not available, but guess who is? Jersey Jim Biringer from the NHL Full Press, joining us to co-host for the next two segments. Jimmy, what's up, buddy? Happy Monday.
Happy Monday there, Rod. Glad to be here from a cloudy New Jersey, a little rainy, but it's all right. We always got the sun shining. Rod Pedersen Show's on. Hi, Mom, and hi to everybody watching.
Let's let her rip. 19 Celsius in New Jersey. We looked it up, everybody. I'm still on the Celsius scale. The same things happened to your mic, Jim. So if you can hit refresh while we get this show going, while we get this Boeing going here on this Monday, episode number 1465. Can you hit the quick six show horn, guys? Can you hit it? Hit it. Hit it. And coming up in hour two, Reid Johnson of the MarkCast to talk pro football, just so you know. Thanks, Jimbo. We got you. You're back. So what we do here is a little thing called the warm-up. We run through the quick six show topics of importance to the show host, and that is me. And because Jim is NHL first, I'm pretty sure he is, although he can cover a variety of sports like me, we're going to open Jimmy with the National Hockey League. Leftovers coming out of the weekend, point one. Steven Lorentz's goal at 11:35 of the third period snapped a 2-2 tie and lifted the visiting Toronto Maple Leafs to a 3-2 NHL victory over the Anaheim Ducks. Max Domi and Mitch Marner also scored for the Atlantic Division leading Leafs, who won their second straight game and moved 3 points ahead of the Lightning and the Panthers. Meanwhile, Alex Ovechkin is only 5 goals away from surpassing Wayne Gretzky's record after scoring his 890th in the Capitals' 8-5 loss to the Buffalo Sabres on Sunday. Those were a couple of the highlights from Sunday. We got 4 games tonight. Jim and I will make our picks coming up. But here's one for you, Jim. Before we go any further, our poll question today is this. For EMJ Marketing, transform your audience with a speaker from EMJ Marketing's Elite Speakers Bureau. Look at their roster at emjmarketing.com. Who's going to finish first in that Atlantic Division? The Leafs, Tampa Bay, or Florida? I haven't even looked at the results yet. I'm just going to go ahead and say Toronto. Jimmy, one thing that they're upset about here in South Florida, which is annoying me a little bit, I saw the fans, Panthers fans this morning on social media going, how come the Lightning are ahead of us in the standings at second, but we're tied and we've got more wins? And I'm like, who cares? It's not the end of the regular season. They'll sort it all out. Can we find something else to bitch about? And oh, by the way, Montreal won here 4-2 on Sunday and had their way with the Florida Panthers. But who do you think is going to win this most hotly contested division in the NHL?
Yeah, I think it's going to be the Toronto Maple Leafs. I agree with you. I think the way they've played, they came back from 3-1 down in LA. LA was playing really well at home, had that 15-game point streak. They snapped it. Lorenz in Anaheim, the back-to-back is very tough for them. And they come in, two good goaltenders. I really like what Toronto's doing. Florida, we know what they can do. They can come back, but they haven't played great lately, and does it really matter? Get your game in shape before the playoffs. You're either going to play Toronto or Tampa. It doesn't matter the combination. And again, like you said, does it really matter? Again, you want home ice advantage. You want to finish. You want to have Game 7, but does it really matter to this team? But I think for Toronto, if they want to advance into playoffs, they're going to need to be first place in that division.
You know what? That Toronto, to me, probably is the most talented team. The interesting part of that, out of the three, they don't have the Stanley Cup experience. They don't really have the playoff experience other than the playoff hurt. But for the reason that you just said, the Leafs want it the most. They're going to empty every bullet out of their chamber. They're going to empty their tank to finish in first. And that's why I think they will. Now, it's not that it's not important. When I say it's not important, what's not important is, why is the Lightning ahead in second now in the newspaper standings? Because you're not at the end of the regular season. I could see why you'd be ticked off at the end, but they have the tie-breaking. They're not going to get it wrong, okay? The NHL is not going to get it wrong. The right teams will finish where they're supposed to. Now, before we move on to the next point, because it goes quick here in the warm-up, Jimmy, and you give me a few things that you would like to talk about. Can I ask you this? Who do you want to get in? Because the battle is still very delicious in the 7-8 spots in both conferences. Do you want Detroit in, Ottawa in, Rangers in because you live close by, Montreal? That's who I would like to see in. Columbus, Vancouver, St. Louis in the West. I don't think the Flames are going to do it. But who would you like to see in?
I mean, in the East, I would love to see Montreal in. I mean, being in that building for Four Nations, I mean, the electric atmosphere that was there for those games, and what I've watched on TV during their little run right now, especially that game against Colorado where they came back down 4-1, that building in the third period was rocking. Like, that's what you want. That's the playoff atmosphere. And, you want Detroit in, you want the Rangers in too, because those 06 teams, right, those original 6 franchises are so good for the league. And when the original 6 teams are doing well, the league is doing well. And the league's doing well now, even without them in the playoffs. But you want one of those teams in. And I think, for me, my personal favorite would be Montreal to get that spot. But again, does anybody really want it? I hope Montreal gets in. And I think out west, I think St. Louis, the way they've been playing, I think the West is pretty much set, I think, because does Vancouver really have another charge in them? I think Calgary's going to fade a little bit, and I think St. Louis gets wild card 1 and Mini finishes with wild card 2. That's my honest opinion, but I want Montreal in just because of the atmosphere at the Bell Center, what it's going to be like during spring in Montreal.
I want them in because they've done it right. They've gone about this rebuild. They've stayed true to their people. They've drafted well. Their high-end draft picks have been outstanding as far as I'm concerned. And I'm a Habs backer. I've said it all along. I do think their fans are crazy. There's no doubt. But that's no reason to not cheer for them. And it's funny because, you've been here to Florida. The fans with Montreal, the fans were so annoying in the Panthers arena yesterday. That won't surprise you at all. Ole, 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 ole. They're not dangerous. They're just annoying. And people were like, can you Canadians go home? Thought you hated us. And I saw somebody say, there's a difference between a Montreal Canadiens fan and a Canadian. There's a big difference, okay? Separate the two. Know the difference. Now, we'll come back to the NHL stuff in a moment, but point 2 is this. Do you know what the term chalk or chalky means? If you're to describe something as chalky, Jim, I'm hearing it a lot, and I don't know what it means. What does it mean? Can you help me out with that?
Yeah, it means like all the top seeds, the favorites get through. Like, so if we're talking about, like, for instance, and I believe this is where we're coming from with March Madness, all the number 1 seeds made it to the Final Four. And that's where they're getting the term chalk. It's like, okay, if you do the tournament on chalk, you just write through everything. All the top seeds get through.
Okay.
All the favorites there. So similar to what if we saw it in baseball or basketball, the two best teams, the four best teams are left in college basketball, or the best teams are left in college football. That's what the term chalk means.
Okay, well, thank you. And while I read this, your mic has taken a dump again, so hit refresh and we'll get rolling. Number 2, a historically chalky NCAA tournament is getting the finale it deserves. 4 number 1 seeds at the Alamo Dome. The Final Four are Duke, Florida, Houston, and Auburn. They'll enter Saturday's semifinals in San Antonio with a combined record of 135 and 16, and the most impressive statistical resume we've ever seen. So they've got the 4 best teams. And listen, I know a lot of our viewers are following March Madness because our studies, our market research says that they are. But let's be honest, Jim, if we have him, how much are you following March Madness with the things that you wanted to... Oh, Clark says to give him 1 second as they're fixing the microphone. Jungle Jim, Jersey Jim Biringer. I got to apologize. I'm not really following it. The one thing that Jim wanted to discuss here, and we will, is the New York Giants. And what are they going to do with the number 3 pick in the draft? He wants to talk about the New York Yankees bats, the torpedo bats. That's all the rage. They've set an MLB record for home runs coming out of the opening weekend. The tush push is all the talk at the NFL general, or I guess the head coaches meetings. I think the GMs are meeting too down here in Palm Beach. But maybe I'll put it to the audience because we don't have Jersey Jim Biringer. For whatever reason, his microphone ain't working too well today. And we got him now. Jim, with all the things you wanted to talk about today, March Madness is not one of them, and that's not really one for me. I know some of our viewers are, but where does it rate on your scale of what you're following right now?
Not really that high, to be honest. I don't really like the tournament anymore. It used to be great, but the NIL and the transfer portal and everything's kind of ruined it. The conference realignments kind of ruined the tournament, and having 68 teams in the tournament and potentially expanding it even more is not what it was about. I like the upsets. I like the early round upsets. I get it. You want the best teams in the end. But this is the world we live in now. This is the society. This is what they've built in college athletics. It was a regional sport that was national. Now we're trying to turn it into a national sport that's regional, and it's just not working for me. With the NHL stuff going on, it's down on the list.
Thanks for the honest answer. And I wonder if the ratings don't go down, because the ratings are what will get the school's attention. And whoever controls the purse strings, they might look at things a little more closely in terms of what you just said, the transfer portal and the NIL. But I think that horse is out of the barn, as we say in the country. I don't think there's any way that you can come back. So I'm with you. I believe they've ruined March Madness. For a clear fact, they've ruined the mystique of it. At the very least, it's still a tournament of the best team's going to win. But just like college football, who paid the most? Who had the biggest payroll? OSU. Who won it? OSU. And that's where we're at. Moving along to baseball, Aaron Judge homered in his first at-bat. Jazz Chisholm Jr. homered twice. And the New York Yankees went deep 4 more times in a 12-3 victory over the visiting Milwaukee Brewers on Sunday, a day after becoming the 3rd team in Major League history to hit 9 homers in a game. The Yankees hit a total of 15 homers and scored 36 runs as they swept the 3-game series. Judge is the first Yankee with 4 homers in the opening 3 games. Our Blue Jays, who split a 4-game series with the visiting Baltimore Orioles, open a 3-game series against the visiting Washington Nationals tonight. And the LA Dodgers are the first reigning World Series champions to start 5-0 since the 1985 Detroit Tigers. And a win tonight against the Braves would tie their best start since moving to Los Angeles from Brooklyn way back in 1958. What's grabbing you in Major League Baseball, Jimmy?
The Yankees and their home runs, right? They're just bombing them right there in the short porch and right. Everybody's talking about those torpedo bats that the Yankees are using. Well, except for Aaron Judge, who continues. I mean, Saturday I was out with my friends and we were watching the game. Well, not watching it, but we had it on the phone because we were playing hoops. And somebody's like, "Did you see first 3 pitches home runs?" I'm like, "No." And I checked the highlights, and Judge had 3 home runs in that game. And I know the Yankees, in New York, everybody talks about the Yankees and what the Mets are doing with Soto and everything. And you say to yourself, man, if this team could get their pitching and everything else together, they would be great. Now, they played the Brewers. It's the opening weekend. Let's see if they can sustain it. But to me, what the Yankees are doing, hitting home runs, if they could play small ball too, they could be a dangerous team this year.
Welcoming in the comments from the viewers, as we always do. We're the most interactive show on the television and streaming. Scott in Vancouver says, are those torpedo bats even wood? Jeff the Stamps fan says, I totally forgot March Madness was on. You're not the only one, Jeff the Stamps fan. But those torpedo bats, if anybody cares, this is what the Yankees are doing to launch all these bombs. History-making amount of home runs coming out of Yankee Stadium on the weekend for an opening weekend. Did you look at them? The barrel of the bat, the thickness of the barrel, has been specifically designed to be thicker down towards the hands. And I got to know the manufacturer of SR bats, Scott Rogers, last year at the WCBL All-Star Game. He will be paying particular attention to this. He's in Arlington, Texas. They don't make the torpedo bats, but I did some reading up on this morning, and I wonder how much of you have, Jim. The Yankees have a sports scientist that's been with the club for the last 6 years. He actually is now working for the Marlins this season for the first year, but this is science. They were lockstep with the MLB office saying, this is what we want to do with our bats. This is what science and our research has proven. Do you mind if we use these bats? And MLB looked at them. They're like, no, they're no longer than they're supposed to be. They're no wider than they're supposed to be. The, whatever you call it, the dip in the end is no deeper than it's supposed to. It's legal. So the Yankees aren't cheating. Salary cap-wise, that's another story. But the torpedo bats are not illegal. Have you looked into this at all, Jim? If not, I got you.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard about some reports about it. Like, they're saying the thickness are a little bit bigger. They're saying, oh, they're cheating. They're using different bats. You know, somebody put out, I saw a meme today, somebody used the Vortex bats from Nerf when Mark McGuire in the ads back in the late 90s. That was great. But they're not cheating, right? And look, if Major League Baseball was told about these bats and they used the scientist, then it's fine. I mean, look, if they go after the New York Yankees, it's the evil empire, and if things have to happen, they happen. But the problem is Major League Baseball should have suspended and brought down the hurt parade on the Houston Astros for cheating the game, and they didn't. So here we are, and there's no cheating involved. They're just hitting home runs. And look, again, you mentioned it, the salary cap, the luxury tax, but the Yankees don't even go over the luxury tax anymore. It's the Dodgers that do it the most. But again, everybody's upset. Oh, all these home runs are being hit. Wait till the game calms down. It's the first weekend, a lot of overreaction.
As always, Overreaction Monday, isn't that what we call it? We're going to take a timeout, folks. Jersey Jim is with us, opening up the program with Moose not available today. But Jim, as we knew, doing a fantastic job. We'll get you to hit refresh again on your mic, Jim. It's not terrible, but it could be better. We haven't even got to football yet. That's next. It's the warm-up. We're live on the Game Plus television network, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Honky Tonk legend Mark Chestnut. Celebrating 35 years of music. Joined by special guest Aaron Goodvin. June 28th at Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Number one in Canada in this time slot in the 55-plus age demographic. Thank you so much to the Silver Hairs. By the way, Hour 1 brought to you by Culligan Water. Drink clean, live green, filter your water for a healthier tomorrow. Culligan Water of Regina. Visit CulliganRegina.com. Hey, unbeaten Brad Jacobs and his Calgary-based Canadian squad plays Bruce Mowat of Scotland today in a battle of 3-0 foursomes at the BKT World Men's Curling Championship in, if I can read the card here, Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. Jacobs recorded round-robin victories over Japan, Germany, and South Korea over the weekend. By the way, Jim's with us for one more segment. We can bring him in, Jersey Jim in Jersey. Then it's me for 3 segments. And then next hour, Reid Johnson will be with us from the MarkCast. We're going to be talking a lot of United Football League, probably maybe a little CFL for those that have come to talk about that. But those that are writing in about the salary cap infringements and that, we did it for 2 hours on Friday, okay? We're not doing it today. Jimmy had some NFL things that he wanted to talk about. And this is what popped up to me. You were just chomping at the bit to talk about the Giants. But New York Jets general manager Darren Moogie told reporters at the league's annual meeting here in Palm Beach yesterday that the Jets are planning on Justin Fields as the team's starting quarterback in 2025. I'm surprised they would name him so soon, other than the lack of anybody else to name. But what are your thoughts on that news, Jim?
Yeah, I mean, he has potential to be a starting quarterback in this league. We saw what he did with Pittsburgh Steelers early on in the season before Russ took over. But now, I mean, it's so early. You want to get him the reps. You want to name a guy, but you didn't even draft anybody yet. You don't know what your playbook's going to be with the new head coach. Aaron Glenn's there. I know you want to get somebody, but you also want to have that quarterback competition to bring out the best in Justin Fields, too. Now he's got job security. And what if somebody just shows up in training camp and is better than Justin Fields? What does that say? I don't really think that's named quarterback right now is the smartest play if you're the New York Jets, considering the history over the last couple of seasons.
Even the Minnesota Vikings are not naming J.J. McCarthy their starting quarterback in week 1, saying that they're going to have a competition. And there are those that still think Aaron Rodgers is going to show up there. By the way, Rich in Edmonton writes in, he says, he's been sick in bed all weekend. The RP show has me feeling human again. Me too, Rich. My doctor on Saturday said this cold flu is going to last for a month. I felt like death for a week. So for everybody feeling sick, let's feel like misery loves company. So let's do it together. But I've been at MetLife Stadium, Jim, and the next time I'm in New York, New Jersey, you and I are going to get together, obviously. And I want to meet your mom, too. But I feel like MetLife Stadium is the Giants' home, and the Jets are just a team that plays there on Sunday. It's not even, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just this. Yeah, talk about that, if you don't mind.
No, I know. I mean, obviously the Jets moved into old Giant Stadium, right? They moved from Shea. Everybody says that Shea felt like the Jets' home. Then they moved to Giant Stadium, right? And who's had the most success at MetLife Stadium? Well, it's been the Giants, right? They've a couple Super Bowls. Yes, we know what the Jets have done playoff-wise, but it's still a Giant town, right? Yeah, and the Jets are just there. And the Giants really wanted to build their own stadium and didn't want to have the Jets around, but they needed a partner, and they have a partner there in the Jets. But the problem is it feels like it's Giant Stadium still, and I always say that it's still Giant Stadium in my opinion, because the Giants still have the most success, and the Jets are like the little brother, but they just want to steal the headlines. That's all they're doing right now is just stealing headlines because, let's be honest, neither team is good. Like, if you really want to be honest,
they're both bad.
Neither team is good. They're both bad. And if you look at the stats last year, I think it was either 1 or 2 combined home wins last year. That was it. They both stink at MetLife Stadium.
I hope my buddy Chris from the Bronx is watching and he can chime in. He is the biggest New York Giants fan that I know, but when I had a stadium tour there, I'm not sure if you've had that, Jim, or had a look around MetLife, but they have this vast, massive locker room for the Giants, and they're like, oh, and the Jets dress here in this closet. And they have this, like, a museum of the Giants' 5 Super Bowls, you know, all lined up together and all the memorabilia. Oh, and the Jets' lone Super Bowl is in this broom closet over here. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just a feeling I had. I saw it, you know. So enough about the Jets. Other than Bomber Boy writes in, he says, yes, why name him so soon? It handicaps you right away because the Jets do Jets things. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, I wonder if they will host another Super Bowl at MetLife. They got lucky the last time. I don't think the NFL's going north. They're not going back to Vegas anytime soon because it was so cold last time it was there. Trust me, I was there. It was below 0 Celsius. Nope. But you want to talk about the Giants. So what are they doing at the 3rd overall pick, do you think?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to go quarterback. Obviously, everybody saw they signed Russell Wilson, and then they signed, obviously before that, they signed Jameis Winston, 2-year deal. Again, I don't know what they're doing. I know they're doing an impossible balancing act, I like to say. You're trying to win, but you also need to develop. And it doesn't work in the NFL because you have to win to save your job. This isn't like the NHL or any other sport where you have developmental years. You can't do it. It's impossible. Or else you're on the hamster wheel of death, like the Cleveland Browns and the Detroit Lions were for that for a while. The Jets are on that right now as well. So they decided, okay, well, we got the quarterbacks in place. Now let's go fix something at 3. Well, if Abdul Carter's there or Travis Hunter is there, you have to draft those guys. Like, one of those guys is a franchise-changing defensive player that you need to get. Because if they're saying no quarterback at 3 and you can wait later in the draft or you're looking to next year, which my guess is they're looking to next year because there's a certain Manning that's coming out next year potentially. And you know the history with the Giants and Mannings. So, but I think you got to go defense there. And I still don't understand the decision-making. I get it, but I still don't get it because you got Winston there for 2 years. Just let him be your starter and let him compete with somebody else that you bring in instead of with Russ, because I saw what he did at the tail end of last year. Eventually that act's going to get old about saying the right things over and over again to the New York media if you're not winning.
I can't even imagine, and I don't really want to imagine. Any time that I've been in New York, and I've been there multiple times, I felt like it's a Yankees town more than anything, but all my friends, including you, say, no, it's a football town first. And I just got a kick out of the fact that 2 weeks ago, the people in New York, including the media, were going nuts. The only quarterback we have is Tommy DeVito. We don't have enough quarterbacks. So they go sign Russell Wilson, and they go and sign Jameis Winston, and they're talking about drafting shit. No, we got too many quarterbacks. Literally, what do they want, Jim? What do they want in that town?
Who knows? Winning. That's what they want in this town. I think everybody wants a winner again. And I think that's the big thing in New York, right? In New Jersey. You want a winner. You want somebody that's winning. And winning cures all, right? But does it? Because everybody still looks to complain about something, even if you're winning. And I noticed that with the Giants. Well, Eli Manning, he's average. Yeah, but he won 2 Super Bowls. Yeah, but he's okay. You had Saquon, you were there. But it was bad to make the playoffs because it set your team back. All right, you can't have it both ways. Look, we know what happened with Saquon. We all know what happened. We don't have to revisit it. We don't have to revisit the Daniel Jones history. Everybody knows my takes on it. It's all over the internet. You know how I feel about it. Just get it right. Go back to Giant football. Build the defense. Build your running back. Build your offensive line. Have a decent quarterback. That's how the Giants win games.
I just get such a bang out of the euphoria over that football team and the fact that they just can't win. And my good friend Curtis Hunt, who is the general manager of the Prince Albert Raiders, formerly assistant coach of the Ottawa Senators, says this about markets that want a winner. Get in line. I'll never forget the way he said, everybody wants a winner. Get in line. Hang on. BW from Edmonton writes, and he says, listening to the RP show on YouTube made this weekend fly by. I appreciate you, BW, for doing that, and I'm pretty excited today. I should know the name of the company that did that. I think it's called millionpodcast.com. They did a list of the top 100 Canadian NHL podcasts, hockey podcasts. We were named number 15, and now a lot of people are going to go, what are you celebrating number 15 for? Do you know how many Canadian hockey podcasts there are? Jimmy knows. There's like 1 million. To be named number 15, like Bob Stauffer from Edmonton is number 1 with the Oilers now. Ray and Dregs were in the top 5. Ray Ferraro and Darren Dreg. To be number 15? Oh my, for a CFL guy that came out of Saskatchewan, a non-NHL market, to be number 15? Take a bow, Clark and Moose and that? Jordan and everybody. That was a major accomplishment to be number 15. Listen, when I came to Florida, I expected to have the number 1 hockey podcast. That wasn't hard. I expected to be the number 1 talk show on the Game Plus TV network. That was hard, but we did it. I'm not going to beat Bob Stauffer or Ray Ferraro and Darren Dreger. That was not an expectation I had. To have anybody listen to this show at all for hockey coverage it was a win. So to be number 15, thank you, everybody, and thank you, millionpodcast.com. I appreciate that. Bummer Boy, watching in Calgary, writes in, he says, nobody wants to take the long road to success in the NFL, especially with their young quarterbacks. Nobody wants to take the long road to success anywhere, bro. Everybody wants to take the elevator. And it never works. You have to take the stairs.
Yes.
I asked Jim. Yeah, there's no elevator to success. I haven't found it anyways.
No.
You also wanted to talk about the number 1 topic. I am so sick of this topic, but you wanted to talk about it. The tush push. It is the number 1 topic at the NHL coach and GM's meetings in Palm Beach. I hope that they vote on whether they're going to ban it or not. I don't even know if they are. They said they're going to talk about banning the tush push. And folks, if you don't know what it is, either look it up or just play along. In the CFL, we call it tandem blocking, and it is illegal in the CFL, but they do it in the NFL. The Eagles with a lot of success. How do you feel about that story?
I don't like it. I think, you have coaches got to coach, right? You have to figure out a way to stop it, right? Banning something just because teams can't stop it. There's a reason why Tom Brady said what he said on Stephen A. Smith over the summer about dumbing down the game, especially for some of these young rookies coming in, and these coaches too, right? Figure out a way to stop it. That's why you have a defensive coordinator. I go back to 1990. Bill Belichick was the defensive coordinator for the New York Giants with Bill Parcells. They go into the Super Bowl. They had gotten beaten by the Buffalo Bills earlier in the season. Yes, I was a kid. The only reason I remember this is because I watched tape and documentaries about this. Belichick designed a plan to stop the Buffalo Bills' offensive passing game. You know, they got to stop Thurman Thomas too, but Thurman Thomas did his thing. But he said, that's okay. We just can't get beat through the air. They figured out a way to beat the Buffalo Bills. That's what good coaching is all about. They didn't take plays away. They didn't try to make it about off. Let the coaches do their job instead of taking plays away and dumbing down the game. They can actually block on this play, but defenses still don't know how to stop it. You know it's coming. They didn't take it away. It's like I compared it this morning on my little rant about LTIR in the NHL. We know everybody does it. Vegas, Tampa did it. Florida does it. Everybody does it. But their GMs are smart enough to realize, oh, let's read the CBA. Let's see what we can get away with. Let's see how far we can push the envelope. Well, that's what the Philadelphia Eagles are doing. Now go stop it. Don't take it away.
Oh, it just drives me crazy. And by the way, they're going nuts. Here in South Florida, the hockey fans and fans across the continent, did you see Matthew Tkachuk skating this morning? Ooh. It's like...
He'll be back for the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, of course. And what are we allowed to say? I don't understand anymore. Your head cut off if you say the wrong thing. But it's like I've seen Tkachuk around the facility. Can I just say he looks fine in street clothes? That's all.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying?
That's it.
And the other thing about the tush push that drives me nuts about football people, and by the way, this ends in an insult about them. I'm sure there's things about me that drives them crazy. I'm not a football person, but they're like, oh, we need to ban the tush push for player safety. Like, I did a lot of reading on this morning, and it was like, has anybody been hurt? No, but they could. You could be hurt getting a drink of water. What the hell? Nobody's ever been hurt trying to defend or execute the tush push. What the hell is wrong with you? But they want to sit around, and I've had GMs tell me, and just because they got nothing else to do, and debate crap and fiddle and poke at stuff forever because they have nothing else to do. So in the end, They're not going to ban the tush push. They're not going to ban the tush push either. It's just something to talk about, and it drives me freaking nuts. Okay, Jim, I told you this would go quick, and it has, buddy. Thanks for filling in. Enjoy the hockey, and stay in touch.
Absolutely, buddy. Talk to you soon. Guys, thank you so much. Be back again soon.
Jersey Jim from New Jersey. From NHL Full Press. We got a sports update coming up, and then all of the stories that I'll get to, and whatever you would like to talk about. Carlos in Indianapolis writes, and he says, the gimmicks run their course once someone finds a way to effectively stop it. Yeah, but the coaches don't want to spend the time trying a way to stop it, so they're just saying, let's block it. Because, again, in the CFL, it's illegal. Let's do what they do. I don't have the time for it. We'll be right back. We're live on Game Plus TV, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are.
Live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Honky Tonk legend Mark Chestnut. Celebrating 35 years of music. Joined by special guest Aaron Goodvin. June 28th at Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven. And I'm Connor Bedard. We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors. There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life. Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Hour one is brought to you by Landmark Cinemas, and Landmark Cinemas now, Black Bag from director Steven Soderbergh. Black Bag is a gripping spy drama about legendary intelligence agents George Woodhouse and his beloved wife, Catherine. When she's suspected of betraying the nation, George faces the ultimate test: loyalty to his marriage or his country. Starring Cate Blanchett. Catch Black Bag in Landmark Cinemas tonight. Now we're getting down to business. And I just love Jersey Jim. He's such a great guy. Where's this comment from Tony? Tony in Cochrane, Alberta, watching today. He says, Rod, that's the shirt I want to order whenever your merch goes on sale. Any updates on that? I hate to be that guy, but I'm going to be that guy. I don't do the business. I don't have anything to do with the merch sales. People don't like to hear that, but it's also the truth. I wish I had an answer for you, but I don't. Regarding being named the number 15 hockey podcast in Canada. A really big deal. Bill Edwards, watching in the Queen City, writes in. He says, good morning, Rod. 15th is a big deal. That's the thing. You wouldn't normally run around toting a banner. We're number 15. We're number 15. But in this case...
How about that?
We will. In this case, we will. Because we talk a lot of football, but we talk hockey with authority with some great hockey guests. It's a big deal. I'm very proud of that, and I'm proud of our team, which is fantastic. Tony again from Cochrane. I like that guy. He says, the hamster wheel of death is exactly what my Cleveland Browns are on. Well said, Jersey Jim. And if they draft cocky Shadur Sanders at number 2, the drama will continue. You know what? Moose isn't here. So I'm going to say this. I'm going to speak it into the universe. You're welcome, Moose. Because last week, when I said the difference between Cam Ward and Shadur Sanders is that Cam Ward is a man, and he carries himself that way on and off the field, and Shadur Sanders is not. I said he comes across as a teen. I didn't say any other term than that. But I put that clip on our social media this weekend, and I knew the second that I did, somebody would go nuts. Oh, what are you saying? This is just wrong. Because he wore his hat backwards, you're saying that he's image Tom Brady wore his hat backwards. So I deleted the clip. I don't even know if you saw it, Clark, that I deleted it. We don't need the attention. We don't need the fight. The second I hit publish, I'm like, this might start and it did. You can't say that it's a race thing because I said Cam Ward is a man. It's not about race. It's about maturity. And I said Shadur Sanders is not mature. Tony, you're saying the same thing. But I just knew. And I'm like, you know what? I don't have the energy at this time of my life. Certainly not on Saturday morning. I didn't to deal with this. So delete. And I don't regret it. You know what? Sometimes the clicks aren't worth it. Rich in Edmonton writes in and he says, Jersey Jim is like a character out of the movie Clerks. I don't even know what that movie is. But I will agree with you that Jim is like a movie character. I just haven't figured out the movie. Maybe I need to go home and watch Clerks. But I love the guy. And we were setting this up before the show. The last time he was down here, I took him to Chili's. Oh, yeah, we got wild at Chili's. Prior to the Panthers-Bruins, what was that, Game 2, I think? Yeah, can't wait to do it again. Glenn with 2 N's writes in from the Band City. Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. He says, hey, buddy, I am one guy that is not setting foot in the States while this BS is going on with the tariffs. I have family in Niagara Falls and would love to go to a Bills game, but I'm boycotting until this BS is over. Glenn with 2 N's is a great guy. I've known him a long time. Used to call my old radio show a lot. Here's the one thing that I'll say on this. You do whatever you want to do. I'm not going to sit here and tell anybody what to do at all. Just sit let's hurt the Buffalo Bills and not buy their tickets. I saw the article on the weekend that the number 1 country for tourism outside the U.S. coming in is Canada. And because of the attitudes like that, all these people in the service industry, tourism industry, are losing their jobs across America. All because of the president. Yeah, we don't, you know what? You guys came here to talk sports. Glenn, shame on you for bringing it up. Just a lot of people are getting hurt, and it's not their fault. Brent from Wellington, Florida writes in. He says, Rod, did Milestone win last night? Oh, my God. I had it written in my notes. Thank you, Brent. For those that don't know, I was asked to broadcast a game remotely from this chair in Milestone, Saskatchewan last night. They call it U18 now, but when I played in the 80s, it was midget. If you don't know, you don't know. And my old team was in the provincial final for the first time with a chance to win it for the first time since 1989. They asked me to broadcast the game. They thought it would be special. And I said, I think it would be special too. So Director Jordan and he did all the work. I just sat in the mic and talked. Brent, they won Game 2 to force a deciding Game 3, which was played in the form of a 10-minute overtime. If you go to rodpeterson.com right now, you'll see it in my commentary. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen anything like it, and it's why I love sports. You go to the game never knowing what's going to happen, and you might see something happen that you've never seen before. So Milestone won to force a Game 3. There was a 2-minute break and then an overtime. They didn't even flood. And then in the it wasn't over. It was a separate Game 3, but it was only 10 minutes long. And the roles reversed. Aberdeen Flames completely took the game over and won the provincial championship. We had viewers till hell wouldn't have it, all over the place. My phone was blowing up. It was so well done. You should go back and watch it. Jordan did a drone over my hometown of Milestone, Saskatchewan. Made it look like the Stanley Cup in Manhattan. He kept turning his drone around. Zoop, over the town. Zoop, come back. Zoop. It ain't that big. 640 people. Oh, and by the way, we're going to break here. I didn't get to my sports update, but you can tell who's hurting for news It's now come out the Saskatchewan Roughriders have contacted Chase Claypool. It was on that story a year ago. Not much going on there, boys. We'll get a sports update and a mini overtime when we come back. We are live on the Game Plus Television Network, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are found.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Always exciting things going on at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. They bring you overtime, but also this, what we call mini overtime. Hey, at Heavy Gym as well. We're going to get to a Heavy Gym sports update if we have time. As a matter of fact, there's something there in the update that I want to address. But I noticed this. You can get a monthly pass for $99 to Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Unlimited hockey, unlimited shooting for $99. Are you kidding? And I've seen parents bring their kids there and just turn them loose. See ya. Randy and Michelle's problem after that. That's what they do. They bring them in. Yeah, monthly passes are available for only $99. Check them out at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, 28th Street Northeast. There is a news out of the NHL. I want your take on this, especially you from Brent from Wellington, Florida, if you're watching. Nico Mikkola, number 77 for the Florida Panthers, has been fined $5,000 today by the NHL for, at the game's conclusion yesterday, ripping a slap shot head high down the ice. It wasn't aimed at anybody specific. And this is what I'm trying to get my mind around, you know, the role that I used to have in broadcasting versus what I have now. Stick with me. It's like Reg Dunlop. No, it was one of the Hansons, and stopped, took the slap shot, and hit the Oregon player in the head. Same thing. It drew a big crowd. Was it Lane Hudson? I can't remember. I was watching the game, but I'm hopped up on cold medication. I can't remember who it was. Raced the length of the ice to try to get at Mikkola. And I'm like, why would you do that? It's just stupid. And I was going to put that on Twitter, and I thought, well, wait a minute. You do host a Panthers podcast, and the people seem to like you here. Why would you tick him off? Because it was a dumb thing that he did. So then I'm watching the postgame show, and Ed Jovanovski's on there, and Jovo was asked about it by the host, Jessica Blaylock, and he's like, well, he was trying to score. What else are you going to do? Come on, Jovo. And then whoever it was that skated the length of the ice, I mean, the Habs don't have one player over 5'8", I don't think. I think it was Hudson. Jovo's like, what's he going to do? Mikkola's like 7'8". So that's my thing. I'm like, I would have ripped the guy, but when you're working for the team, you can't, but you know it's wrong. So I was that guy defending our players at every turn. Yet it pissed everybody off in the league because they knew that what I was saying wasn't right. I don't know. It was a Bush League thing to do by Nico Mikkola. How about that? And he got fined $5,000 today. Jovo, I guess, just doing his job for defending him, but there's no way he could have believed it. It was Gallagher. Gallagher was one of the guys who went after him for sure. Bomber boy writes in and he says it was a gutless Bush League move. Also, Gallagher is a bit of a hothead. Yeah, but you don't do that. As Killer Carlson said, he shouldn't have said what he said. So, hey, and then the two teams meet Tuesday night in Montreal. Will there be carryover? Tune in and find out. Heavy Gym Sports headlines. There are 4 games in the NHL tonight, including one in Denver, where the Calgary Flames will try to keep their postseason hopes alive when they face the Avalanche. The Flames trail the Minnesota Wild and St. Louis Blues by 7 points for the wild card berths. The New Jersey Devils host the Wild tonight. The Toronto Blue Jays, who split a 4-game series with the visiting Baltimore Orioles, open a 3-game series against the visiting Washington Nationals tonight. Righty Bowden Francis will be on the mound for the Jays, while the Nationals counter with righty Michael Soroka of Calgary. And there are 8 games in the NBA tonight. The Raptors are off. Heavy Gym isn't just about lifting weights. It's about lifting your spirit, your strength, and your potential. Step into the gym that's changing lives. Find out more at heavygym.ca. Okay, so coming up in hour 2, it'll just be me and you for the opening segment, and then the MarkCast's Reid Johnson. We're going to talk about opening weekend in the UFL because why not? We love football. He is the UFL guy, and CFL and NFL too. That's all coming up after this.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Honky Tonk legend Mark Chestnut. I'm gonna get alive. Celebrating 35 years of music. I just wanna hold you close. Joined by special guest Aaron Goodvin. I'm all boom, boom, boom. June 28th at Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
One night in Edmonton, we were out on the town, and there was a guy by the name of Bane Norrie.
How about that?
Bane says, "I'd ever tell you guys about the night I was out with the Rolling Stones?" And I'm like, "Come on, what was Mick Jagger like?" And he's like, "Well, no, Mick Jagger and Keith Richards weren't there. It was the rest of the band." And I hit the floor. "You weren't with the Rolling Stones then, Bane."
Keith Richards and Mick Jagger are the Rolling Stones.
Exactly.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
I remember that night. It was at the Rose and Crown in Edmonton. Any of you Edmontonians know that place? It wasn't a bar called the Palm Oil. It was the Rose and Crown. Can you name any members of the Rolling Stones other than Mick Jagger and Keith Richards? No. It was a good time. And this is a good time. It's going to go by fast. So buckle up and get your comments and questions in now. 902-518-3033, the Progressive Insurance text line. Switch to Progressive and you could save a bunch. We're going to open with the NFL. Just for is Jordan directing? Do you guys want to hit the quick six show horn? Who's directing? Whoever it is, can you hit the quick six show horn?
Bingo!
Thank you. We actually opened with NHL an hour ago with Jersey Jim because Moose ain't here. It's just me and you, and then next segment, Reid Johnson, where we're going to get into a lot of football, so just hold on to your bingo cards there. But on the NFL, the coaches and the GMs are meeting in Palm Beach, Florida here. And listen, it's amazing because what they talk about is really quite boring unless you're a real dyed-in-the-wool football person within the meetings, because I've been in them. But when they come out and talk to the media, that's when the interesting stuff comes out. For instance, the Jets general manager, Darren Moogie, announced that great Moogly, that Justin Fields will be the starting quarterback for the Gotham Green this year. And we're like, why would you say that now? Other than you don't have any other quarterbacks. Sure. But the Vikings aren't saying that with J.J. McCarthy. It's an open competition in camp. Any competent team does that, but you do you. the really interesting thing is this. We all fall victim to what we see in the coverage. We're victims to, we don't know really what's going on behind the scenes. We're victims of, or prisoners of what the networks and the leagues want us to believe. And that's fine. Because you know what? We're not splitting atoms here. Nobody's dying. But Mike Tomlin, the head coach of the Steelers, was asked, how do you feel about the fact that Aaron Rodgers is taking so long to accept your offer? Because it sounds like the coverage has been correct. The Pittsburgh Steelers, who don't have a starting quarterback, brought Aaron Rodgers into the facility, 10 days ago for a meeting? Made him an offer. I don't think we know for how much, but never Aaron Rodgers is sitting waiting to decide. Well, it is March, the last day of March. You would think the Steelers would like to know. You'd think they'd like to make a plan. But they think differently than us. The football people think differently than us. They could have brought back Russell Wilson for whatever reason they didn't want to. They could have brought back Justin Fields in Pittsburgh, but for whatever reason they didn't want to. It does remind me of 2017. Sorry to bring up a CFL parallel, but it's the best I have, and it's still pro football. In January, we with the Rough Riders didn't have a starting quarterback, and I was interviewing John Murphy on the concourse of a Pats game prior to the Pats game on my old radio show, our assistant Jim, and I'm like, John, I'm like everybody else at that time. We don't have a quarterback. What the hell? He's like, well, we'll be fine. Now, in the end, we signed Kevin Glenn, but ended up in the East Final against the Argos, a minute away from going to the Grey Cup. So the Steelers just aren't that panicked about it. I would be, but we're not running the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I certainly do understand where the Steelers fans are anxious and going, look how far we've fallen. Yeah, we're in the playoffs every year, but we haven't been a contender since Big Ben was around. And that's a fact, and there's no retort to that. Utah Darren writes in and he says, the Steelers made a mistake letting Fields go. Yeah, I think so. I thought they made a mistake sitting him down for Russell Wilson last year when Russ became available. I don't know what it is about Russell Wilson, but he really seems to turn people off. By the way, the other news, there is some, well, we talked about the NHL. And one of the reasons I wanted to open up with the NFL is I mentioned this in my weekend column, the 10 Things column. It's the only place you can get it is at our newsletter. Those watching on the screen right now can see, use the QR code to sign up for it for free today. The NFL is the one thing that unites us all. We all are following it. We all have an opinion. Was it this morning or yesterday? I can't remember. It's the 24-hour news cycle. Commissioner Roger Goodell saying that they want to play in Saudi Arabia, the Emirates, an NFL game, and people are like, no, stop the international games. What are you, Jerry Jones? That's the one thing I learned. I mean, if I had the druthers and the ability and more of an interest, I would dive headfirst into the NFL because it's an unending pit of goodness. That's what I've found. And when I was at the Super Bowl in Las Vegas, I was with a bunch of NFL guys, and they brought me right in. They're really great guys. And I learned that Jerry Jones was one of the owners, not the only one, but the loudest owner in the NFL who doesn't want to play outside America. It's just the way some people think. If you notice, the Cowboys have never played in an international game, and that's my team. I never even paid attention to it. But the NFL's like, you're overruled, Jerry. And whatever small thinking owners think, in his camp, we're going global. And it's only quadrupled the revenues, so. Speaking of things happening and you're not paying attention. Yesterday, the movie Major League was on. There are certain movies, and I, like Rich from Edmonton, I was in bed sick all weekend for the most part, other than calling that hockey game remotely last night. I didn't go to the Panthers and the Habs game, but I do have thoughts on that. And Brent from Wellington, hang on, I'm going to get to your comment. But I'm watching Major League last night, and I can't remember the guy's name, the first baseman for the Yankees in the movie. But, and Clark, stick around. I'm sure you watch Major League. Tell me if I'm right on this. Ricky Vaughn, in the playoff game, the ALCS, Tom Beringer's behind. Jake Taylor is behind home plate, 39 years of age at the time. I looked it up. The batter had a goatee for the Yankees. I'm like, in retrospect, that's not, you're not allowed to have facial hair. That was the Steinbrenner rule that I believe went back to the 70s or at least early 80s. That movie came out in 1989. Why does that guy has a goatee? Does anybody care but me? Just saying, it's not realistic. But I really enjoyed Harry Doyle. And also Beverly Hills Cop was on. I watched that too. News from the NHL today. Nico Mikkola has been fined $5,000 for doing a Hanson Brothers slap shot at the end of the game yesterday. What comes over people? And I can sit and talk about this for quite some time. I was watching the game, and Brent, it could have hit you. I know where you sit. Brent from Wellington, Florida, writes in. He says, I have no problem calling him out. It's going to be a long night for him in Montreal, I'm guessing. Think about this. Montreal's winning 4-2 on the buzzer. Nico Mikkola from 12 feet out front of his crease from the right faceoff circle stops and just unloads a slap shot head high all the way down. It almost killed that defenseman for Montreal. I think it was Hudson. Dumb. And then all the Habs raced after him on the buzzer. A brouhaha ensued. No, I joked that Mikkola's 7'8", but he's like 6'7", at least. And then it took a bunch of guys to get him off the ice. It's like, what happened to you? Now, listen, I understand. That's the one why I get along with guys like this, because the wires in my head for the longest time didn't touch either. And it reminds me of, Matthew Barnaby's great stories of going to the NHL office, having a hearing, and having to explain his actions. Listen, I get it. I get it. And Barney said he'd be with Colin Campbell, and Colin would slow down the film frame by frame by frame. Barney, Matthew, what were you thinking when you charged across the ice and planted your elbow in his nose? I wasn't thinking anything. Okay? Same thing, I think, for Nico Mikkola. I wasn't thinking anything. But I blacked out. It happens. So just give me the... for those who weren't listening last hour, I'm watching the post-game show yesterday on Scripps Sports here in South Florida going, I hope they address it. And they do. And Ed Jovanovski, who's on every game as a panelist, studio panelist, what do you think about this, Jovo? Mikkola slapping it head high at the end of the game. He was trying to score. And what's Brendan Gallagher going to do? What's he going to do? Skating. I'm like, oh, my God. But I guess you're just taking the team's side, And that's the rub that I don't understand, because that used to be me as the voice of the teams for so long, defending every single move the team made, even when you didn't necessarily believe it because you felt you had to. Did I take it a little too far? Yeah, on just about every occasion. Then it pissed everybody else in the league off, and it's like, I don't know what you want, I'm out. But then they got to go to Montreal Tuesday night. So, again, they're leaving today. By the way, Matthew Tkachuk skating this morning, and everybody's all, ooh. I saw a clip from Jordan McPherson. Good friend of mine, reporter, covers the Panthers and the Miami Hurricanes for the Miami Herald. His clip, within an hour, had 40,000 views of Matthew Tkachuk on the ice today. Which is by the other thing. They act like he's come home from Vietnam. Okay? I don't think he was that hurt to begin with. But at least he's, oh, what a hero. He's skating. Oh, my God. When was the last day of the Four Nations face-off? It's 1:11 Eastern. By the 1:11 Eastern. Oh. Beautiful. Visualize a positive outcome to your current quagmire. Trust me, it happens. It's hard to do. Easy to say. Thank you, Clark. February 20th. It's been over a month since Tkachuk has been battling this injury. Over a month. How long should it take? We all know what's going on. Come on. Oh, to the football. Wayne in Victoria, BC writes in. He says, I've been a fan of Russell Wilson, but now his age is becoming a concern for teams. Whoa, Reid Johnson is next. He's from Seattle. He's in Seattle. Can you remind me to ask him about Russell Wilson? We're going to talk a little bit about opening weekend in the UFL. Terrible attendance, but pretty good games from what I saw. Russell Wilson shown the door in Seattle, booed when he came back as a Bronco, shown the door in Denver, shown the door in Pittsburgh. What's his deal? Maybe Reid knows. Regarding international NFL games, Carlos in Indianapolis writes in and he says, I'll take the old NFL Europe over the NFL International Series, but that's just me. Well, bring it all. Bring it all. You know, more coverage. I guess they're talking this weekend at these NFL GM meetings about going to an 18-game season, which, by the way, it'll be the owners that decide it, not the GMs, but they're going to do it. And this morning in the USA Today was, is too much football a possibility? Give me a break. You're going from 17 games to 18 games. We've been doing it in the CFL for 40-plus years. Holy smokes, but there's nothing else going on, so they need to invent something to talk about. I get it, but going from 17 to 18 ain't that heroic, okay? Come off it. Bomber Boy writes that he says, good call on the Yankee facial hair moment. I wouldn't have even thought about it, except for it was just in the news. This is the first year since I think they said 81 that the Yankees are lifting the ban on facial hair. So you can have a goatee now if you play for the New York Yankees, or a beard or what have you. But in 1989, you couldn't, but that first baseman in Major League did. Thanks for paying attention, Bomber Boy. I feel like you're the only one. What the hell is this? Utah Darren writes in, he says, $5,000 for an unauthentic flyby of the tower, negative Ghost Rider. What the hell's he talking about? 902-518-3033. Rhonda, I know, Rhonda. Help me, Rhonda, help. She writes in from Swift Current. She says, told you. It has started. Max Scherzer is going to miss 2 starts while he's on the IL. Wasted money. $15 million, right, for Max Scherzer. I'm sure nobody feels worse than him. But I'm with you. You look at his resume, Hall of Fame worthy. 5 years ago. Blue Jays home to Washington tonight, by the way. You're not wrong, Rhonda. You are not wrong. John Ohm writes in and says, how about them Winnipeg Jets? Yes, we talk about it every day. They're great, John. They win every game. Bomber Boy says, a tweaked groin as a hockey player is almost impossible to play through. Got to be 100%. But I wouldn't pass the Panthers to use a Golden Knight / Lightning tactic. Well, of course not. The Lightning did it first. The Golden Knights did it next. And it looks like the Panthers are doing it now. It's not against the rules. The only tough part about that is making your top guys sit out for a couple months at a time. Kucherov did it. Mark Stone did it. These are not Rudy Poos. All right, the football people are showing up. Thank you, John. Thank you for being you and showing up here every day. The MarkCast Reid Johnson joins us next, and it's just going to be fantastic. I know it. We'll be right back here on Game Plus Television, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are found.
up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902 518 3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Shania Twain.
Let's go, girls.
Live in Moose Jaw. Shania Twain. One incredible show. Live at Temple Garden Center, July 7th. With special guest, Lindsay L. Get tickets Friday, March 21st at 10 a.m. at the Temple Garden Center's box office or sasktix.ca. For more, visit shaniatwain.com.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
RP show continues, brought to you in part by Seat Giant. Stop paying U.S. dollars for games and events. It's Canadian-owned and operated with Canadians in mind. Super Bowl, college football, Taylor Swift, Justin Timberlake. They've got it all. Use promo code RP show for 15% off now. Check us out at SeatGiant.ca. Glad to have them with us on this program. Voted the 15th, number 15, top Canadian hockey podcast. Or we're going to talk football now. Reid Johnson joins us for the MarkCast. And before we get into the UFL opening weekend, Reid, I don't know if you saw earlier, I was saying you would know this. Russell Wilson, what's his deal? Why does nobody want this guy? Well, the Giants do now. But what do we not know about Russell Wilson?
I actually have a story for that, Rod. Thanks for having me on. I wasn't trying to bully Clark into getting me on the show. I was just making fun of the Blue Jays last week. But then Rod said, hey, why don't you come on? I go, well, it actually does make sense because the UFL kickoff and everything. But I apologize, Clark. I wasn't trying to bully my way on. So thank you very much for that.
Russell Wilson.
Yes. So, as you know, in my real life, I do videography. And I actually had the privilege of helping a child that, do you remember the Seahawks? We had one of our defensive players years ago that had the one arm. He was born with the Shaquille Griffin,
yes,
was his name. There was the twins. So a child suffered from that same situation. So he won an auction, was able to go do an interview at Seahawks facility with him. And so they hired me to come film it. Very exciting time. We got to go through all the VMAC and see the Seahawks in the practice. Well, we're set up to do the interview off in the corner. Russell Wilson comes in because this was right at the height of all that stuff, doing his thing. Oh, what's going on here? Get out. I don't want to have anything. I said, this doesn't have anything to do with you. We're interviewing this little kid. He always kind of had something around him. And I'm sitting there. I mean, this was, and I used to work and we used to cover the Seahawks and all of that. But even in that, it had to make it about him and in a situation that really had nothing to do with him. So it is interesting. It's a long time. He's an interesting guy.
Okay, I guess he wears his welcome out. Is that the way that we're, how we would read that? Would you put him in the category of the Aaron Rodgers? I'm not sure you would have had a brush with Aaron Rodgers like that, but it seems like he wears his welcome out too.
I think that had Russell Wilson not been in Seattle, for the bulk of his career before going to Denver, I think maybe people would have been more kind of aware of that. I think that once Russell moved into more of the national spotlight, everybody goes, well, what's the deal with this guy? And we go, yeah, well, he's been hanging out in Seattle for 10. Like, we know he's kind of a weird cat. Even when he signed his extension, he posted like a video of him and Sierra in bed, like at midnight, like, hey, we got the deal done. Let's go see. This was before he was doing the Broncos Let's Ride. And you're like, this is just weird. He's always just been a little off. It's fine. Remember the Subway commercial, right? The Danger Witch and all that. And like, have you ever done anything dangerous? He's just kind of a weird cat. And I do think he's aging out in his play style and everything else football wise, but interesting guy.
That'll be the meme. He's just weird. Are you okay with that? To be quoted with that? He's just weird. Okay.
That's fine.
You're a very popular guest. By the way, Allie in Texarkana writes in. She says, congratulations. That is awesome, Rod. I was saying earlier, we wouldn't normally be touting, we're number 15. We're number 5th. But in Canada, among hockey podcasts, it's a big deal if you look at the list. So thank you, Allie. Thank you for that. You, by the way, have the #1 alternative football podcast. And I'm not just buttering you up. You know that. And the viewers have a lot of questions for you. Utah Darren writes in, he says, question for Reid. How much longer should the UFL, United Football League, give Memphis and Houston before they pull the plug and relocate those two franchises?
I agree, Rod. So we had 4 games this weekend. It was the opening 4 games, Friday, Saturday, and then 2 Sunday. Big Friday night football. They're taking the place of the college football in the fall and college basketball, right? SmackDown's moved off of Fox here. So it's big showcase. No one's there. I had the numbers from our Mike Mitchell, 7,100 in attendance on Friday for the Houston game. That's from Mike Mitchell, who's our UFL, inside reporter. Not great. And if the league is saying that's the number, then obviously it's lower than that, right? That's generally tickets distributed. I think Memphis on yesterday had 4,373. If that's an announced attendance, then certainly less than that. I think we're getting to the point where we're seeing lack of results coming in. We've kind of gone back to the well too many times. I was corresponding with a player yesterday that was part of XFL 2020 and all the way through all of these and not this season. And they said, in years past, last year, it was the late merger or it was COVID or it was that. There's always kind of a reason. This year, we have the player strike kind of that was impending leading into kickoff. Did that hurt this year? Did that draw some of the attention away? I think it certainly doesn't help. I mean, how do you sell tickets? How do I buy tickets as a Houston Roughnecks fan if I see that the players are potentially walking out the week of kickoff? I mean, it's an impossibility. And I just think the players are kind of running out of excuses from management. Every year it's been something, and we're seeing just diminishing. Even DC, which is usually a great market, 12,000 yesterday. They normally do closer to 16, 17.
Rich in Edmonton writes in, he had a good one here where, the comments are going off. Dude, you're very popular, as you know. He says, I've seen more people at a Slim Whitman cover band concert than in the stands at the UFL game I watched for 30 seconds on Saturday. That's all fair. And I flipped on the game from Memphis. I was the one that tweeted, we had more people at a Rider practice. Having said all that, and we'll swing it to positivity here, the play I thought was pretty good. There was some sloppy tackling and a missed field goal from destroying and stuff. But the games were entertaining, I thought.
Yeah, and not that I hate on Donald De La Hoya a lot online. I'm glad that Destroying finally made a field goal kick and then missed a field goal kick. We have a lot of the UFL has really latched a lot of their digital marketing into that because he's a YouTuber, and there's 300 whatever other players here I think that we could spotlight as well. But yes, he missed.
Yeah.
The football's there. The football's never been the biggest issue. We did have 2 head coaches leave this week, going into kickoff. You saw the DC Defenders win, so they were able to rally. Memphis looked a lot worse with their head coach leaving. I think it was Monday that officially came out. You see a little bit of that, but it's a hard sell. Like you said, you were tweeting about the Memphis game. It's 10-3. There's 3,000 people in the stands. It's a Sunday. Like, it's fine. I don't think that I could show that to anyone and go, this is going to excite you for the next 10 weeks. I think you and I that are football people are like, okay, I think for a casual fan, I think it's an impossible sell at this point to look at that and say, like, aren't you excited about 10-3 here in a 10-minute end of the first half that feels like it's going on forever? It gets bogged down.
Well, it's amazing. I went to the stats page, and their stats kicked the crap out of the CFL. I feel like if you took the best CFL and the best of the UF, put them together, oh my God, you'd really have something. Like, they do all that right. ESPN showing the games, right? And Fox, that part's all good. Let me back up a sec. Who were the coaches that left and why? Because to be honest, coming out of the build-up to week 1, that's all I heard about.
Yeah, so the Memphis coach left, stepped aside for personal reasons. Ken Weisenhunt there. Reggie Barlow left to go take a college job. There's still some speculation there that he's going to take a lot of that staff with him once the season's done, that they're not going to do traditional spring practices like some of the college. I think that was reported out last week. So sounds like a lot of the DC staff is leaving as soon as the season's done anyway, which isn't great. But, you see these. We see someone like Curtis Johnson with the Roughnecks that looked horrible again on Friday. They looked horrible last season. But if you're the UFL, you go, well, at least we have someone like him that's not going to leave to go take another job. I guess we'll stay with him, because you run into that fear where we want to attract coaches. Okay, we have someone like Wade Phillips, right? He's kind of at the end of his career, so he can hang on. Bob Stoops, right? He's kind of hanging out. But some of these up and comers or people that are bigger names, they're going to jump the second they can. And look at Reggie Barr. I mean, it was the weekend before kickoff, and he goes, "This is a better opportunity. I need to go."
Well, let me ask you this: what is the goal of these leagues? Because I'm sitting there going, "You're never going to make money. You're losing millions, clearly." And the CFL is not a big money maker either, but let's not compare. We always want to compare. I always want to compare. We all do, but we shouldn't. But I looked at the number of players that have gone on from the XFL, USFL, UFL to great things in the NFL. There are a lot, or at least like PJ Walker comes to mind, Rod Smart from 20 years ago. What's the goal of the UFL or any other spring league, Reid?
Well, as we know, they look at the NFL ratings and, the hundreds of millions, and they go, if we could even get a fraction of that, right, then that will be a success. If we can even get 1 million, 2 million viewers from all of that. But the problem is that none of these leagues really, I want to say the XFL 2020 really kind of had its own identity, but even the USFL that came up, a couple years later, and then the merger and all that, there's no identity anymore than just like, we play football in the spring. So if you like football, you should watch. There's no, this is what makes our league unique. This is what makes our players unique. I don't think you can build an entire league marketing plan off of getting a couple special teams players to the NFL every season. I don't think that's sustainable. I remember when Arash came on the show years ago, and we debated, and this was way before we had just kind of started all of this. And he goes, well, are you really going to watch the show on the way to the show? And I'm thinking, well, yeah, people want to see that. Not everyone does. I was at spring training last month because I love baseball and I want to see the Mariners players before they come up. I'm a diehard. I'm not a casual, and you can't build a league's interest off of, well, you might see this guy returning kicks for the Cowboys in 3 years. And God bless him, right? Kavonte Turpin, big extension. That's awesome. Brandon Aubrey. It's crazy that you, of anyone with the Cowboys, have so many of these players on your team. But, 2 players out of a league isn't enough to build an identity.
I guess not. But, Scott in Vancouver's watching. He writes, he hate me. We remember this stuff, which full disclosure, I had people writing me that were watching Friday's show mad that I was poo-pooing the UFL. I was on Friday's show. But Saturday, I was home sick all weekend. Sounds like you might have a touch of what I have, the cold and flu. And I'm like, okay, it's on. So I put it on. I'm like, this isn't that bad. And my friend Marcel Belface, the offensive coordinator from Michigan, do you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't planning my weekend around it. But because it was there, I watched it, and I didn't hate it.
But you're homesick, right? Or I was, and I'm under the weather too. I think to me, it's an impossibility to kicking off, and they'll do decent ratings, like you said, because sports are on, people are, excuse me, it's still that time of year where it's not great weather outside, but the February kickoff makes so much more sense. You're going off of against March Madness now, men's and women's. You got the baseball opening weekend. I mean, I was at games Thursday and Sunday, and that's me, and we got the podcast and we got the site, but am I going to go to Houston on Friday to do the UFL kickoff, or am I going to take my wife to the baseball game? Like, you have all these debates, and you're asking people now to give up. It's hard. It's a hard time of year. I would like the February kickoff as well, but I do think we're running out of gas on this current iteration.
Well, Carlos in Indianapolis writes in, he says, I think once these upstart leagues show signs of long-term viability, the audience pool will expand. Who wants to invest in a team and league that's going to disappear in a few years? That's the one thing the CFL has, is it's one of many things. The CFL is great, but it's got its 100-plus years. Do you think just being around long enough, if they are able to do it, will be the tonic? He's not necessarily, I don't think he's wrong, but will they live to see the day that the stands are full, or at least respectable?
Well, exactly. It's chicken before the egg, and you sit here and you have fans say, well, I'm not going to invest until they prove they're going to be around. Well, then how are they ever going to be around if people don't invest? I heard that with San Antonio all last year. We got burned with the AAF. Like, we don't want to deal with that again. Well, if you broke up with your boyfriend or girlfriend, are you never going to date? Okay, well, that didn't work out. Like, I'm never going to date again. Like, well, no, you gotta put yourself out there. We heard that in St. Louis. We're not going to buy season tickets until it's year 3 or 4. Well, how does that make sense? You need to enjoy it while, like, you can't live that way either. So I certainly get that. Like, buy it, someone has to be an early adopter at some point, or nothing's ever gonna stick around.
A quick last fun one, although it's all been fun. Washington Commanders. Was it a fluke, which I don't believe in, or what do you see in 2025?
I'm really excited. Obviously, we got Deebo Samuel from the 49ers. That's exciting. And you can, people can say whatever they want about Deebo and being older and banged up. You want your team to be a place where, excellent players go to play. And before this last year with Jane Daniels, that was not the Washington Commanders. We didn't have the front office for that to attract these players. And now we do. So that's very exciting. I don't think with Jaden there's a drop off. I think that you look, Terry McLaurin is our wide receiver 1. I mean, and I love Terry. I think he's the best wide receiver in the world. But you look at some of the talent some of these other quarterbacks have that are playing these elite games. They have a lot more weapons. I think we're building around Jaden, but he's a special kid. And I would go home and tear up watching the highlights at night. I mean, was a really cool season last year, and I'm really excited for me and the Commanders and Redskins and whoever fans that have been decades longer than I've been. It's really exciting, and I'm really pumped for them.
It is exciting for sure. I know a few of them, not many, but they certainly earned it. Reid, thanks for the time, man. Keep up the great work. Anything you want to pump? Your latest podcast, what would you like to tell the viewers about?
Just a couple of things real quick. First off, watch Clerks. I was messaged that you did not watch the movie Clerks. I said, what do I need to know about Rod's show before? Hey, Kevin Smith. That made me want to be a filmmaker. Okay, Rod, people have a lot of history for that. But I will say we do our website now, altfootball.com, has everything, not just the UFL, full CFL coverage. Anthony Miller's got that. Andy Murray over there. We did a full draft breakdown, team breakdowns going into the season. So if you're like, Reid, we don't care about, we just want the Canadian stuff, full CFL coverage on there will be coming up all season, altfootball.com. So they'll have all that stuff.
Beautiful. Reid, thanks for the time, man. Let's do it again soon.
Thanks, Rod. I appreciate it. Bye, Clark.
Good guy, Reid Johnson from the MarkCast and altfootball.com. We'll get to all your questions and comments for the rest of the way to the top of the hour. Al Broderick writes in and says, CFL needs a 10th team. Thanks, Tips. In other
How about
news,
that? Hot take.
the sky is blue. When are we ever going to realize it's not happening? Whatever you'd like to talk about the rest of the way, including zany takes like that. We're live on Game Plus Television, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcast.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Honky Tonk legend Mark Chestnut. I'm gonna get alive. Celebrating 35 years of music. I just wanna hold you close. Joined by special guest Aaron Goodvin. I'm all boom, 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 so June 28th at Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Checking in. What up, Colin? He says, love me some Reid. Yeah, Reid Johnson does a really good job. You had a comment in here earlier. I'm sifting through it. Oh, he says, did The Rock show up to opening kickoff? I just saw it now. I just saw your question now. I didn't see The Rock's face anywhere all weekend. Not in any commercials, not in any of the games. I feel like even The Rock is tired of the UFL. And doesn't he own it? About as tired as I am of the 10th CFL team discussion. Dear God, give it up. If you want to see me lose my patience, my lid, keep bringing that up. Rhonda. She was writing in earlier, Rhonda from Swift Current, regarding Max Scherzer being hurt already. She called it. And she says, you're right about the Yankee having the stash at first base on the movie Major League. Good catch. And she says, how about the evil empire using these new torpedo bats? Hopefully the other 29 teams start using them. Did a lot of research on it today. Not only are the other teams noticing that the Yankees have hit an MLB record, Aaron Judge has 4 home runs already. He only played 3 games. Not that that's a lot for him, but it is impressive. And apparently the company that makes these new torpedo bats the Yankees are using have got not teams, but players from other teams ordering them already. Look it up, torpedo bats. The barrel of the bat, the thickest part of the barrel, the thickness has been moved down closer to the hands. After all these years, the Yankees have discovered something nobody else has. And it's not illegal. It's gone through the MLB head office. Ron in Calgary writes in, he says, morning, Rod. I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing a few more promising prospects in the Flames lineup over the next couple of weeks, as we probably are out of the playoffs. Even if we make it, I'm realistic in knowing we are not quite ready yet to go a long playoff run. Go Flames, young guns. Flames at Colorado tonight on Amazon Prime. You know, I'm that guy that often says if you're not winning a championship, you're disappointed. We all say that. But in the case of the Flames, that's the one exception that proves the rule, in that way exceeded expectations. They exceeded mine. I had them picked to be last place in the Pacific Division, and it hurt me because I love Ryan Huska, the head coach. Braden Pahal, love him. They're on the right track, and they've outkicked their coverage. It's going to suck that they missed the playoffs, but can you at least say they're way better than we thought they were going to be, and that's a win. Ron's getting it. Appreciate it. Yeah. Carlos in Indianapolis writes in, he says, some people just want to see those Rod's rants, I guess.
How about that?
Not biting, not buying it, not biting it. No. 902-518-3033. Progressive Insurance text line. Switch to Progressive and you could save a bunch. Here's the thing. They're not trying to get my goat. They actually believe there will be a 10th team in the Canadian Football League. That's what scares me. What is it going to take for you to wake up? That's the part that bothers me the most. And before I move on to the sports update, because I'm just such a ridiculous discussion. I was poo-pooing the UFL on Friday's show. Even Jim Barker said, what the hell did he see? He was going to watch March Madness, I think he said, instead of the UFL kickoff on Friday night. But I watched it Saturday afternoon because it was on. And then, like an idiot, David Delahaye, the kicker for San Antonio, destroying the former Toronto Argonauts kicker, missed a big one. So I go to their website to look at his kicking stats, and I'm like, dang, their stats are good. Way better than the CFL. And it reminds me of my time in the Queen City when I was involved in the MMA scene. And we had two warring factions, two warring fight clubs that couldn't get along. And the one guy really, really knew the combat sports really well, but he was a terrible marketer and a not very good businessman. But he knew the nuts and bolts. He knew the product really good. And on the other side, we had a guy that was a whiz-bang marketer, big-time business guy, probably couldn't really trust him, and he didn't really know MMA that well. But I'm like, if you guys came together, you dominate the world. CFL, UFL. Never going to happen. Ed Hervey, Chris Jones, could have won 10 Grey Cups. Couldn't get along. These two guys couldn't get along. Just the way it is. We move on. Heavy Jim sports update. Tampa Bay Lightning winger Nikita Kucherov, Dallas Stars center Rupe Hintz, and Winnipeg Jets goalie Connor Hellebuyck have been named the NHL's 3 Stars of the Week. Kucherov led the league with 11 points as his team moved into second place in the Atlantic Division. Hintz had 9 points, 2 goals and 7 helpers in 4 games as the Dallas Stars clinched a playoff berth and extended their winning streak to 5 games. And Hellebuyck went 3-0 with a 1.00 goals against average and a .961 save percentage to go along with 1 shutty for the NHL leading Jets. I'm going to stop that for a second and just tell you that at Heavy Gym, you should step into the gym that's changing lives. They're not just about lifting weights. They're about lifting your spirit, your strength, your potential. Find out more at heavygym.ca. I'm stopping because I'm going to carry the rest of the sports update over into overtime. But I was talking with Jersey Jim before the show. And because I know Allie's watching, and we're talking about the Dallas Stars. When my dad was working for the Stars and they moved from Minnesota to Dallas in '93, this was the 90s. Internet was just coming in, as they say. And to sit there and talk about whether it's a hockey market or not in these Sunbelt states, if I could read the Fort Worth Star-Telegram and the Dallas Morning News, that's all I needed. The teams didn't have writers then. The teams didn't post interviews to their websites, and there sure as heck weren't any social media accounts. So if I could read Mike Heika and whoever else was writing about the Stars, I think Mark Stepnesky was a writer of the Stars, I was good. Who cares about competitions with the Cowboys or the Mavericks or the Rangers and how you get along and where their place is in the marketplace? All I want to know is what's going on, who's hurt, who's not, some stats. I follow the Dallas Stars just fine in a non-traditional hockey market. What all do you really need? Who cares? That's just something that Jim and I were talking about. Because what I will say about here with the Panthers, they are still behind high school sports. And I'm sure, I haven't talked to the Panthers about it, but I'm sure they sit back and go, what more do we got to do? 2 straight trips to the Stanley Cup, winning it all, and we're still behind high school sports and the media. It is what it is, but who cares? You can find out all you need to with the interweb. We'll be right back with Overtime in a moment here on Game Plus Television, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcast.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Shania Twain.
Let's go, girls.
Live in Moose Jaw. Shania Twain. One incredible show. Live at Temple Garden Center, July 7th. With special guest, Lindsay L. Get tickets Friday, March 21st at 10 a.m. at the Temple Garden Center's box office or sasktix.ca. For more, visit ShaniaTwain.com.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
All right, welcome back, everybody. For Overtime, as you see on the screen, brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. I'll tell you why I'm smiling in a second. Because I'm alive, for one. Getting to do what we love, number two. And being with you, number three. How about that? But there's always something great going on at Overtime Hockey Lanes. And if you check out their social media accounts, like I do all the time, I just noticed that you can buy a pass for $99 for the month. $99, unlimited lane play, and all the other very exciting things that they have there at Overtime Hockey Lanes. $1,000 for the year, which is actually a deal when you think about it. I'm not good at math, but right, Randy and Michelle? Drop the kids off there for $99 a month. You can't get daycare for that. Check them out at 28th Street, Northeast Calgary. What was I smiling about? Oh, Kirk in Toronto writes in on the Progressive Insurance text line. He says, "Hi, Rod. As some say never. And that's it for me on the 10th team talk." All I'm saying, you can believe that there's going to be a 10th team. Just take it over there. Because I don't. You're like Jerry Glanville when he coached the Atlanta Falcons, leaving tickets for Elvis at every road game that the Falcons played at because he thought that Elvis would magic. After he died in 1977, just kept leaving tickets for Elvis at will call for every Falcons game. On the off chance Elvis would show up. That's what you guys are with your 10th team in the CF. So you go ahead. But can you please not bring it up to me? El Sasko writes in. Today he's going by Vintage Sasko. He says, "Hi, Rodfather. This man flu is continental. Gonna try and sweat this mofo out. Thanks for listening to my rant. The check is in the mail. I don't think you can sweat it out because I've tried. But I went to see my chiropractor the other day. And he's funny, too. I'm not going to tell you his name. Because there's a lot of kooks out there. You might try and contact him. But I went in there on Saturday, and he's working on me, and he's just getting over this. He goes, "I've had this flu since March." I said, "It is March." He goes, "That's the joke. I've had it for a month." I'm like, okay. And then the talk of Canada came up. I said, "Have you ever been to Canada?" He says, "Yeah, as a matter of fact, I've been to Montreal. I took my girlfriend there for a romantic weekend." And I said to him, "Does your wife know?" And he goes, "Why do you think I'm whispering?" And then he's like, crank on my neck. He's like, "Oh, man, tight as a drum." "Yeah, I know." We get along great. He's a pretty funny guy. Allie in Texarkana writes in and she says, "That is so true, Rod. Daycare is stupid expensive. I've literally seen it. Parents come to Overtime Hockey Lanes and just drop their kids off. See you at 5. They paid for it. I guess you can do that. I'm missing something. Tony from Cochrane says, definitely Texas Longhorns, Rod. What are we talking about? Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, you guys. I got you. 902-518-3033. Progressive Insurance text line. I never finished the sports update. Mike Tomlin is staying in touch with Aaron Rodgers and is comfortable with Mason Rudolph as the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Rudolph is 3-1 for the Steelers in 2023, with the loss coming in a wild card game against Buffalo. Pittsburgh has a new offensive coordinator since Rudolph last played for the team. The offense had mixed results under Arthur Smith last season. Tomlin, who spoke to Pittsburgh reporters a day earlier before coming to Palm Beach for the meetings, addressed a large group of media members surrounding his table during a 30-minute availability for all AFC coaches. They said they will take their time waiting for Aaron Rodgers. Meanwhile, new torpedo bats drew attention when the Yankees hit a team record 9 homers that traveled a combined 3,695 feet on the weekend, using a strikingly different model in which wood is moved lower down the barrel after the label and shapes the end a little like a bowling pin. Paul Goldschmidt, Cody Bellinger, Austin Wells, Anthony Volpe, and Jazz Chisholm Jr. homered in New York's 20-9 rout of the Brewers on Saturday. The bats are allowed under MLB's rules. Meanwhile, the sports equipment industry is no exception to the headaches being caused throughout the U.S. commercial ecosystem by the promise of tariffs on Canadian imports by President Donald Trump. Many of the products manufactured for sports-loving Americans are made outside of the U.S. That includes costly hockey gear that finds itself in the price hike crosshair, considering how intertwined Canada and the U.S. are within that sport. Hockey equipment in North America is a $1.3 billion business and growing. Added cost from import tax will almost certainly trickle down to the consumer. How much does that suck? Sports Update is for Heavy Gym. Heavy Gym isn't just about lifting weights. It's about lifting your spirit, your strength, and your potential. Step into the gym that's changing lives. Find out more at heavygym.ca. Arash Madani is going to be with us tomorrow on the program. Big thank you to Reid Johnson and Jersey Gym. The Moose will return tomorrow. Until then, take care, everybody.
Truth's in the coffee. It's Truth Serum.